We have finally reached the end of this season, and honestly, I wish they didn't end it right there. I can't believe these guys. I have seen the manga, and even then, I wouldn't believe they'd end it in such a cathartic cliffhanger. But anyway, let's get down to business. Takemichi versus Kisaki. These two are literally each other's true rivals. Kisaki using others in order to gain his goal, which is revealed, and Takemichi for his goal, relying on others and also being there for them when he needs to step up. So, two opposites fighting each other. And eventually, Takemichi realizes that he's in that place, the place he promised himself. He would become Tomon's captain. And yeah, it's funny how he basically is telling information to Kisaki that he needed to know so it can confirm Kisaki's theory that yeah, Takemichi's a time traveler. Though that's interesting that he says that I've suspected, because it means that whenever Takemichi was doing his last time leap, Kisaki looked back, almost like he's a bit confused that this was too easy. And I guess that kind of is an interpretation to take. But what I do like is the one speaking to Kisaki is not Takemichi necessarily from the past. They're using the future version's model, at least for this frame, to indicate that this is the future Takemichi, the present one, the one that's been doing all the work, telling Kisaki that he's gonna stop him. And yeah, eventually Kisaki pulls a gun again, like a fucking coward, and tells his whole thing that, yep, he's a simp. He's been simping for Hina, and the only reason he even became a delinquent was to figure out what does Hina sees in Takemichi? And literally outright says that, yeah, he's been stalking him. And eventually, younger Takemichi says his goal is to become the strongest delinquent. And I can't help but love the confidence that this Takemichi has. Because, you see, in almost any other series, this would be true. He'd be the top one. But unfortunately, Mikey exists. But not the point. Not shitting on Takemichi. Just kind of stating a fact. But I like that Kisaki's like, huh? A hoodlum? Hoodlum as a hero? So investigating everything, even showing us the whole ordeal with him and Mobius, like basically how it eventually led him to finding Mikey and the events that followed. Now, what I do like is the flashback where Takemichi and Kisaki apparently first crossed paths, and Kisaki kind of saying that he'll surpass Takemichi, he'll beat him. So yeah, Kisaki's always viewed Takemichi as a rival, just not one he would say. And as I said, he loves Hina, he's a simp for her, he's doing all of this. And the only reason this is even revealed is because Takemichi saw a future where future Kisaki proposes to future Hina says no, and it's just leaving him all dumbfounded, which, to be fair, he deserves it. Also, it's interesting seeing Kisaki's 10-year plan. A bit crazy, but I mean, it worked in the first timeline, so who am I to judge on that? But now it's not working. And I like that even during their fight, he's like, all of these plans were perfect, but something keeps messing it up. And of course, it's Takemichi. But it's just fun seeing Kisaki get mad. He rarely ever has emotion other than smugness, and now that smugness is taken away, we obviously have Takemichi here finally being able to beat him. And what I like is, back to that flashback, we have Takemichi heading towards the light and Kisaki heading towards the dark, show their differences. Takemichi is the light while Kisaki is the darkness, as he said when he was kicked out of Tomon to Mikey, that he represents the darkness, which is true for him and Mikey, but it's more true for him and Takemichi, where they're pulling Mikey. Wherever Mikey goes, that's more or less what he'll end up. So, after basically revealing everything, he prepares to kill Takemichi, and like the final badass moment, I can say, in this season, Takemichi kicks the gun right out of his damn hand and points it right at him. And he would have shot him too. He was contemplating, and he was gonna pull that trigger. He was gonna kill Kisaki right then and there. Only for Hina to be the reason he doesn't. And Kisaki, like a bitch, trying to get the gun from him again, only for Takemichi to deliver the greatest punch in all of history, punching this motherfucker. After everything he has caused, he gets one hell of a punch in him. Basically forces him to retreat. Takemichi chases after him, declaring that he's not letting Kisaki escape to the future. And this catches him off guard. And before I say what happens next, I do like that he kind of is like telling Takemichi, "You think I'm a time leaper?" And before he can reveal that, I mean, we get the obvious notion that, yeah, he gets fucking hit by a truck. Which is so fitting, because Hinata's deaths are all caused by this. However, in this particular scenario, roles are reversed now. Kisaki gets what he deserves. And yeah, he dies. So, now that he is basically on his deathbed, we get to see the flashing before your eyes kind of thing, where Kisaki is just going everything that he's done. Every bad deed. Basically all the stuff he's done. But the one thing that's caught my interest is how Kisaki sees young Takemichi, the hero, running into the sun, and he moves his hand towards it, wanting to be like Takemichi. It basically shows that despite his insanity, despite how honestly evil this man is, he genuinely wanted to be like Takemichi. He admired him. It goes with the thing of Takemichi managing to pull everyone's strings, more so that he's able to get through to people in different ways. Obviously, Tomon members, he's able to help them, and for those who he's fought against, he's able to gain their respect. With Kisaki's already admired Takemichi, considering that he won Hinata's heart, and Kisaki hates that, but also can admire it. So having his last moments of him wanting to be like Takemichi, the dark hero, it's kind of poetic, if you ask me. So yes, Kisaki is finally dead. This fucker who's caused so much shit since the beginning of the series is finally dead. And the reveal that Kakucho's alive, which I don't think he's happy. If anything, he's just, yeah, he's lost, because Izana is no more. He's not in this world. So what is he gonna do now? So he's lost. But the way the episode ends this season is Takemichi saying, or I guess self-saying in his mind, that ever since that day his hand can shake, which is a lot of interpretations. But let me give you this one. He has been constantly fighting Kisaki since his time traveling has started. He has to deal with him so many times. He's had to try to stop him. They're both rivals. And now that his rival had died right in front of him, it's a little traumatic, because he literally viewed his opponent, who he would have killed himself, but in most cases he just wanted to beat him and finally end this thing. He didn't necessarily want Kisaki to die, but now that he's dead, I mean, yeah, he's shaken. He succeeded, but at the cost of Kisaki's life. But that's how the season ends, with Tenjinku finally beaten, and 3 unfortunate deaths. We have Emma's death, which is the most impactful for Mikey and Draken, which I haven't mentioned. Draken did beat Hanma, and I like that Hanma basically trusted that Kisaki escaped, which I guess I could feel a little bad for this crazy fuck, but that's as far as I'll say on that note. Anyway, back to it. The second death being Izana, so the leader of Tenjinku, and the third death being Kisaki, the mastermind behind every damn situation that the series has gone. So now what? Well, you see, it ended in a very weird note, because it ended right before we could see, as one would think, the finale, where Takemichi makes his final handshake and finally goes to the future. So this implies another season, and I can guarantee you, things just will get controversial. As for Tenjinku, amazing damn season.